Swamiji's music and Ananda music has been a fundamental part of my life since I first became aware of who Swami Kriyananda was. In fact, my first contact with him was hearing a recording on a disc, not a tape recorder, but on an actual record of his recording of chanting Anandam Ananda. And as soon as I heard his voice, I could tell just by the vibration that there was something very, very special about him. He came on the Joy Tours. He came to Colorado twice in 1978. And the first time I went to Boulder to see him and to hear the production, to hear their program. And he wasn't actually there because he wasn't well. But the Gandharvas who were traveling with him sang. And as soon as I heard them sing, I knew that I wanted to sing that music. So I was living in a small community in Fort Collins, Colorado, and two of the members of that community were very deeply committed to Master, to Ananda. They had already taken Kriya, and they invited Swamiji and those who were traveling with him to come to our community when they returned to Colorado in the fall. So I met Swamiji for the first time on the 23rd of September, day after my birthday, 1978. And at that point, we already had a little singing group, and we had learned a couple of his songs. So when they arrived, we got up and sang. I think one of them was The Secret of Laughter, I'm not quite sure. We sang a couple of songs. And then his singers, the people that came with him, they sang. Swamiji sang. And it was a very beautiful way of making that initial connection with him and with the others who were traveling with him. My first real conversation with Swamiji was about the music, because I had gone down to Denver to participate in his program that weekend, and they invited me to have dinner with them afterwards, with the whole group. And I asked him, what did you think of the way we sang your songs? And I don't remember precisely what he said, but I remember he did say it was a little too fast. And this has come up numerous times when I've talked to him. I remember asking him one time, years later, when I was directing the choir in Assisi, was the song a certain song, I don't remember which one, was it too fast? Did we sing it too fast? And he said, you sing most of them too fast. And that really struck me, that it helped me to understand that every word, every note is so important that singing them too fast, we could potentially lose a little bit of the actual impact of the song. At least that was my interpretation. And so I tried after that to be very conscious not to sing the songs too fast. And also, when we were singing, we sang Door of My Heart a lot. It was one of the songs that were translated into Italian, so it was a basic part of our repertoire in Ananda Assisi. And at a certain point, I don't remember why he was there while we were rehearsing it, but he added a subtlety to the alto part. On the part that went, for the alto part, it goes, night and day, I look for thee night and day. And he said, no, I want you to sing it this way. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Just a small change, but it made a significant difference. It was like finishing that phrase. It was the end of the verse, and it just brought a sense of more completion to it. Oh, Speaking of the Italian songs, this was a very interesting process to witness. Most of the songs that we sing in Italian were translated by Swami himself. And he shared with us his process, because before he started translating them, some of us tried to translate some of the songs, and it wasn't easy. You just can't translate literally from English to Italian and make it work musically, mostly because Italian tends to have a lot more syllables than English. So he started translating them, which we were very happy about, because we knew that it would be a lot more meaningful for the Italian audiences to hear the songs in their own language. And what he told us was that he would hold in his mind the feeling of the song, the message that the song communicated, and then he would basically rewrite the song in Italian. So they're not literal translations. Some of them are close, but most of them aren't. Like If You're Seeking Freedom, in his translation it becomes If You're Seeking Joy. And the whole song is about opening your heart and letting love come through. It's just a completely different song. And we started singing it a cappella, because the guitar part, which is perfect for If You're Seeking Freedom, because it's kind of a light song, and there are even humorous aspects to it, and the kind of lilting guitar part works very well with it. But I realized that we couldn't use the same arrangement for If You're Seeking Joy, because it just didn't work. So we sang it a cappella. We sang it more slowly and more smoothly than more legato, you might say, than the way If You're Seeking Freedom is usually sung. And it worked. And he did the same thing with Brothers. The basic message is the same, but there are many subtleties that are very different. And I think part of it is because of the Italian language. He said himself that he would think differently when he was in Italy than when he was in America. And we saw that in the talks that he gave, the classes that he gave. And when he sang in Italian, there was much more heart, energy. And of course, that's what we tried to express also, and especially what I consciously tried to draw out of the choir as a director. I tried to really encourage the expression of that heart quality of the music. One thing that Swamiji told me personally, which had a lot of impact on me, happened after I had performed the Canticle of the Creatures by St. Francis. At that period of time, this was, I don't remember exactly the date, but I think in the late 1990s, in the choir there were no male soloists who could sing it well in Italian. So I sang it, even though normally Swamiji would sing it, or a male soloist. It's St. Francis's song, but I sang it. And one time I sang it at a public event that Swami was at. And at the moment I was having a little difficulty with my voice, so I had to really concentrate on keeping my voice clear and getting the notes right and technically singing it well. And Swamiji spoke to me shortly thereafter and said, you know, when you were singing that song, I didn't feel you trying to express the meaning of the song. I didn't feel you letting the song go through you. I felt that you were just very much focused on your voice and how nice your voice was, which was true. And I didn't, I could have defended myself and said, well, it's just because I was concerned that my voice wasn't in good enough shape. But I didn't say anything. I just tried to receive what he was saying. And then he said, I think it would be better if you didn't sing it for a while, just to give you a chance to get more in tune with the meaning of the song. And of course I said, that's fine, Swamiji. And then he was so sweet. He said, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I said, no, it didn't hurt my feelings. And I didn't sing it for many years after that, until actually quite recently. And fortunately, I didn't take it personally. His impression was actually right, that I had been more focused on my voice quality than on the meaning of the song. And I really tried to take that inward and to apply it not just to my own singing, but in my work with the choir, to really, again, encourage people to just feel the music and feel it, the flow of the music. And I think we were pretty successful. When I was directing the choir, there was not huge amounts of discipline, but there was joy, and there was a very strong sense of just feeling that presence coming through. Swamiji told us one point, when you're singing, try to project your aura to the back of the room. Don't worry so much about how loud you sing. Don't worry about getting the sound all the way back. If you send your aura and your vibration to the back of the room, then the sound will arrive. And I always remembered that and tried to help the choir remember, especially if we were singing in a large hall or a large church. And he also would have us, when we were warming up our voices, he would encourage us to do this gesture. And he's mentioned it in many different talks. It's not something new, and it's not something that he just did with us. To try to feel your voice coming from the heart, going up through the throat chakra, up to the spiritual eye, and then going out. And he would have us sing a note and just bring it up like this, like, ah, and actually making this gesture to help us tune into that subtler aspect of singing through the heart chakra, singing through the cervical center, and then up through the spiritual eye. One set of very specific instructions that he gave us was when we sang Song of the Nightingale. We sang it one time, I guess it was in some concert that he was present at, and afterwards he came up to me and he said, "Is that the first time you sung that song?" And it wasn't. So he offered to sit in on a rehearsal. He offered to meet with us and go over the song with us. And we actually recorded it. I have an audio recording which I just recently digitalized, and I will make it available to Gitabai so she can make it available to whoever wants to hear it. And he made some very interesting and specific, gave us very specific kinds of feedback. He said that he preferred a tenor voice to sing the first verse as a solo rather than a baritone. I think it's because the tenor, this particular tenor, had a very light and pure tone. He also said at that point that it would be fine to also have a woman sing that solo, even though often he himself would do the solo. He said it would be fine also for a soprano to do it. And he listened to Henry singing it. He made emphasis on pronouncing the word nightingale correctly, because the tendency was to sing nightingale. And he said nightingale. It was important. And then on the part that goes, sing of moon rays on the rain, sing that love's not in vain. He wanted a little pause between rain and sing. Sing of moon rays on the rain, sing that love's not in vain. He wanted to give some space between the phrases. And then another pause after grief. Every grief, every wrong has its ending in song. He wanted it to be continuous after wrong, has its ending in song, but a little pause after every grief. On the second verse, the same thing, a little pause. Without silence, what is song? Without night, where is dawn? And he gave some very specific input about the men's part. The men's part goes, without silence, what is song? Without night, where is dawn? He wanted that second syllable, dawn, to be very strong and definite. And also the moving part, were it not for men's woes. Again, he emphasized every note, very clear on that moving part. Most of the feedback he gave actually in that song was on the men's part. I just spaced out the part after the word tears and on the third part. Morning laughter, evening tears. Morning laughter, evening tears. Again, he wanted emphasis on that word tears. He wanted it to be strong. And then the last feedback he gave on that song was on the coda, because we were singing it, nightingale, nightingale, nightingale. And he said there was too much of a retard. And he said he preferred it to be sung, nightingale, nightingale, nightingale. Hardly any pause after the second nightingale. So that was very precious, you know, just having a chance to be with him and to participate in his process, because he was really tuning into, in that moment, how he wanted the song interpreted, and he was verbalizing it to us. And it's interesting. It's really good, actually. I'm really happy that Gita Bai invited me to participate in this, because it really gave me the incentive to find that audio tape and to listen to it again and to digitalize it, because this is the kind of feedback we can't get it anymore from him personally. So it's really precious, because I just have one more thing that I'd like to say about the music. For me, it has been one of the most important tools for attunement in my spiritual life. Attunement to Master and attunement to Swamiji, because music is pure vibration, and tuning into the vibrations of the music has been my way of tuning into the vibrations of Swamiji's consciousness and Master's consciousness. And I very much feel the more we're able to perform the music as Swamiji initially envisioned it. I don't know if you can envision something auditorily, but the way he perceived that vibration should be presented, the more we're able to do that, I think, the more we're able to deepen our own personal attunement. Having said that, I will also say that Swamiji changed things as we went along. He didn't always sing things the same every time that he sang them. And he encouraged people to arrange his music, David Miller and others. He encouraged people even to write music. So I think that my sense is that he wanted to imprint on us a certain vibration, a certain attunement, a certain way of presenting the music, but then he also wanted to leave space for our own creativity. And I think that the creativity that's come out, like David Eby's arrangements with the instrumental music, our own arrangements. I've done a few different arrangements with the choir, different parts coming in at different times. I think that the important thing in expressing in these creative ways is to try to always stay as centered as possible in the central vibration, the central message, the central meaning of the song or the piece of music, and then asking Swami for guidance, asking Master for guidance, just letting it flow. And you know, we don't ever want to get too far out, because it's like with Hong Sa, just bringing the mind always back to the mantra and the breath. We want to always bring our consciousness back to what we did receive from Swamiji and what he did do, and at the same time letting that creative energy flow through us. And this is a part of our personal process of spiritual growth and inner attunement. So it's been an enormous blessing for me to have dedicated so many years. I've been singing Swami's music for over 40 years, and it has never failed to be a very deep and inspiring and blessed experience. One of the unique aspects of the Ananda Assisi choir is that many of us have been singing together for nearly 30 years. And this means not just performing, but rehearsing every week and singing for the guests 2 or 3 times every week, year after year after year. And what I have observed in doing this is that it's been a very powerful tool for creating a sense of community and spiritual family. Ananda Assisi is unique in that on a physical plane we don't really have a community yet, in the sense that we don't have a piece of land. Well, we do now, but for most of the time we haven't had our own property, we haven't been able to live together, we've been quite spread out physically in different houses in different areas. We would come together for meals, of course, and meditation, Sunday service. But one of the things that brought most of us together regularly every week without fail is singing together, singing Swami's music. And our choir rehearsals were very often also a time for socializing, for sharing, sometimes a little bit too much in that direction. But I saw that as important too, because I think it's probably true in every Ananda community. People will spend time with a few people, the people they work with or their family, etc. But there aren't that many opportunities to just be together, and being together in this creative way, singing the music, working on the songs, and it's a very interactive choir also. Other people would come up with ideas. Well, maybe the sopranos can do this and the tenors can do that, or we can alternate men and women. So it was a very a community project, and I think that is a very, very important part of our experience as a community. It's so cute. Sometimes I'd get just a little bit frustrated when the chatter got to be, we ended up talking more than singing. And so I said one time, you know, we see each other every day. We're together every day, and we talk to each other every day. My point being that maybe we didn't have to talk so much at that time. And Shivani, bless her heart, she just perks up and says, yes, and we never get tired of each other. Which was very sweet, and it's true. It's very true. But I think that given the nature of that community, and given the nature that of the fact that, you know, we have a huge ministry. We have people going out all the time to different places, and we're just very active and very dynamic. This is one of the threads. Singing Swami's music together, it's one of the threads that has really held us together and helped us to be not just in tune with Master and the music and Swami, but also to be in tune with each other. And I think that the harmony that we have experienced as a community amongst ourselves, and the deep, deep friendships that we have created amongst ourselves, are a great part of that comes from the fact that we have been singing together Swami's music for so many years.